Okay, so today we will be talking about fear. And I want to start this off by saying that a lot of this is from this guy, Trent Shelton. So, Trent Shelton, you can find him on Instagram. He has several million followers, I think 2 million. He's a ex-NFL player. Yeah, ex-NFL player. And I thought he got cut from the NFL, but that was The Rock. That was Dwayne Johnson. But Trent actually played in the NFL, and he also is a motivational speaker, and he's got a lot of strong opinions about things. And so I'm going to talk a little bit about fear, kind of understanding what fear is and how it affects us, and then how to embrace it as a tool in business. And then we are going to have an assignment. And I want to start by saying that this is something that Seema, myself, and several other people in the Holistic Justice League has paid for this information and the assignment. Seema and I and everyone else paid $9,000 each for this information. So I'm not going to be able to give you guys all of the information, but I want to let you know that I paid $9,000 to get an assignment assigned to me, and I finished it this week because otherwise my $9,000 would be completely valueless. Okay, I got the assignment through that $9,000 trade-off, and if I didn't complete the assignment, I would just be losing my $9,000. So there was a little bit of pressure on me to complete the assignment, which I'll tell you guys about at the end of this. But I do want you guys to know that there is several times that I wanted to quit, and it's going to probably have the same impact on you. And if you can just imagine how much value this is worth, imagine trading that amount of money to get the assignment from a coach, and basically don't throw it away is what I'm telling you guys, because it's easy to do when it's just given to you free. So I want to let you guys know that this information is not free, and we all deserve it. And the only way that it becomes valuable is if you actually put it into practice. Okay, so fear. Fear is a very, it's something that every entrepreneur faces, like every single one. And the cool thing about network marketing is you can become a business owner, like without an investment, without, you don't have to be the best in the world at something. You don't need an investor. You don't need a PhD. So basically you can just pay, you can buy a ULT and become a business owner with Purium. And that's where we are. And then all of a sudden it's like this bomb gets dropped on you of all of the things that you have to do. And a lot of it is things that we don't want to do. So we procrastinate, we put a limiting belief on it. Well, I don't need to do that. Or they're successful because of this reason, or I can't be successful because of this reason. And I want to let you guys know that all of those things, every single person that you've ever worked for in your life, the owner of every single business that you've ever had those same limits in their current business. On top of that, they had to deal with maybe an investor, deal with maybe 8 years of college before they get to that point. They had to deal with being in debt of their own money that they borrowed from their mom and their uncle and their grandma. And then on top of that, the limits. It's just that in network marketing, we don't have all that pressure, okay? So a lot of times the fear gets the most of us, because the comfort that we seek of not having the fear is very easy for us to push away the network marketing business and just go back to what we were doing, whether it was posting on Instagram, living by a waterfall, or going back to your 9-to-5 job. That's a lot more comfortable than the stuff that we're afraid to push into. But a regular business owner has impending debt, has investors to answer to, has 9 years of college that they just finished, right? That's forcing them through their obstacles. So fear is something that's almost, it's amplified in network marketing because we don't have this momentum pushing us through it. So it's a very important topic, and it's something that we all really have to face if we want to be successful in network marketing. So I'm going to talk about understanding fear a little bit. So we're going to talk about understanding fear, why fear paralyzes us, and how to use it first off. So fear, like kind of by definition, is the absence of three things. It's the absence of confidence, it's the absence of courage, and the absence of certainty. Okay, confidence, courage, and certainty. So we're going to talk about each one of these three things really quickly. And if you think about if we could just get these three things, then we can eliminate our fear, right? If we can be confident, if we can be courageous, if we can be certain, then the fear won't override. So confidence is the way that we can gain confidence. It's very simple. It's repetition. We were just on a Zoom with Grant Cardone this morning, and he's Mr. 10X, right? He's Mr. Massive Action. If somebody remembers what his actual show is called, put it in the chat. I can't see the chat, but he just got dumped off in Pueblo, a small town, and they gave him $100 in a pickup truck, and he basically had 90 days to develop a $1 million business. And there's a show on the Discovery Channel with Grant Cardone on that. And his whole philosophy with life is that everything gets done with action. And his whole philosophy is not perfect action. Okay, it's just action. Just do massive action. And that ties into building confidence. Okay, if you're just doing, it doesn't matter if it's perfect, because through all of that practice, you will learn lessons, and more importantly, you will learn confidence. You will be confident in yourself, because every one of our failed attempts equals a lesson. Okay, and if you go into a situation with a whole bunch of lessons behind you, you will be confident. Think about anything that you guys are confident at. Riding a bike, for example, right? You did have to repeat the skill of falling to the left, falling to the right, falling backwards, falling, like having the freaking pedal spin around and hit you in the shin. You had to do all of that to become confident at riding a bike, and that all happened through repetition. So without confidence, there's going to be fear. It's just straight up. And confidence requires repetition. And that means what? That means a lot of long days, long years, long nights, long setbacks, and your ability to push through all of that is what builds confidence. Also, what builds confidence is detaching your emotions from the outcome. Okay, and I'll speak a little bit about this later, where we want to learn to be focused on impact as opposed to impressing people. Okay, and a lot of us are concerned at the outcome of how someone's going to feel about us, as opposed to what we have that can serve them, and focusing on the impact that we have as opposed to the outcome doesn't, like, the impact doesn't require them to like think anything of us, and we don't have to be attached to, you know, the outcome of a situation. We also can fail in a situation. As long as we made impact with someone, that's a success. And that's what I've heard a lot of great people talk, or I've heard a lot of great people when they talk, they say, you know, as long as I affect one person, then that's success for me. And I think that's because they've learned to not be afraid when they get on stage, because they only have to make impact on one person. It doesn't matter if 99% of the people think they're stupid. They're there to make impact and not to, you know, care whether people think they're stupid or smart or funny or whatever. So we don't need to kind of tiptoe around being perfect. Okay, focus on impact and focus on action. That's going to build confidence. So you guys all know what courage is, right? So without courage, of course, there's fear, but courage doesn't necessarily mean that fear is gone, right? You guys have all heard that courage is the fact that fear is present, but you do it anyways, right? That's courage. And we really need to learn to choose courage, okay? And the way that we choose courage is that we need that mission. And that's what I was discussing before, is that when you have that stress, pressure, and friction pushing you towards success, then the mission is greater than the fear, and you do whatever it takes, right? You do whatever it takes to get it done. So we do want to align our passions, align our story, align our why to create a mission that's bigger than our fear of staying the same. Okay, next. Who's unmuted? And that's what we're going for, right? So we build courage by aligning to the mission, and the mission needs to be bigger than you. And that's what it all comes down to. It comes to bigger than you. And we'll speak a little bit more about family dynamics and why it's important for you to get past your fears later on in this talk. But in terms of like, we all have to find out why it's important for us to get past our fears, to be successful in network marketing and anything else that we have in life. And it's as simple as that. Courage is just basically you're at a standstill and you can turn one direction where you do nothing and you stay still, or you turn another direction where you push past your fears. And it's just simply making that choice and then playing the mind games necessary to make you like go through that, to give you motivation. Nobody likes fear, like literally nobody. Tony Robbins, Elon Musk, Steve Jobs, Martin Luther King, these people all experienced fear. They all did, but they're able to push through it and be creative. All right, certainty. I know this from presenting in school. You know, remember those papers we had to present in front of the class? And because I was not a very good student, I would be deathly afraid of talking. And I used to think I had a fear of public speaking, but it was really that I just wasn't certain about any of these topics in school that I could care less about, right? If I had to present anything, I just didn't care enough about it. So I wasn't invested to study it. And then I would go up not being certain of what I was talking about. When you're certain about something, guys, fear won't exist. Okay, if you're certain you're going to be successful, fear won't exist. We know this from athletes as well, and it works on the field. When you're certain that the team that's most certain they're going to win is going to win. Also, on top of that, in negotiation, the person who's most certain about their side of things is also going to come off the most powerful. All right. And so attraction, same thing. Certainty is it's a magnet. Okay. So we need to learn to make up our mind about the things that we're going towards. If you guys are still uncertain, then the fear takes over. Remember, this is about fear. This isn't about being certain or uncertain. I'm just saying that if you're uncertain, that fear is going to present a stronger stance against your success. Okay? So focus on what matters. A lot of us also, when we're uncertain, we start focusing on what? If we're like uncertain whether this is going to work or not. Okay? Guys, there's the people that we all know, like the Elon Musks of the world, whether he's reptilian or part of the Illuminati, like that's another discussion. But like that guy has said he would rather stick a freaking knife in his stomach than, like, he said this, and it's probably unpolitically correct, but he'd rather stick his knife in his stomach and commit suicide than to be poor. Okay, so in his mind is what I'm saying is that he's and as a product of his wealth, he can then help a lot of people, and that's it's not about him being wealthy and being able to like buy a private jet. It's about him being able to help a lot of people. But the point is that he just knows that he's going to be at a certain level of success or die, and so that certainty comes through, and people back him, people trust him, and that's the most important thing. You have to trust yourself in order for people to trust you. So remember, fear is the absence of these three things: confidence, courage, and certainty. And we can do our own mind tricks. We can read our own books. We can do our own meditations. We can do our own practices and actions to increase these 3 things so that fear doesn't have such a stronghold. All right, let's talk about types of fear. So 3 types of fear, just so that we're aware. Performance fear. Okay, performance fear is what I was talking about. Getting up on stage, doing a performance, prospecting somebody, contacting somebody. That's all a performance. You guys know it's all a performance. And the reason why there's fear there is because we have expectations of what the other people or persons are going to say, do, feel. And so we want to do several things when we know that we have a fear of performance because we are attached to an outcome. We want to get over the outcome, okay, and realize that our self-worth is not dependent on our performance. And also, so I want to tell you guys a story. It's kind of unrelated, but when I moved to downtown LA, I got a apartment on the 11th floor of a building, and there was an elevator that took. There was only one elevator in the building. It was a very old building, and I lived on the top floor. And take the elevator down to my car, and you know, it's quite often that you forget things, right? You forget things, and in this case, it literally would cost me like 10, 15 minutes to go back and get my phone. And I got a little aggravated the first few times, and then I just made a decision that like, hey, it's probably going to happen many times before I move out that I'm going to forget things. And so I'm just going to decide now to not be aggravated when it happens. And then that was it. It was just done. No more aggravation because I had to waste 10 minutes because I forgot something, because that's just a fact of life. Performance kind of not going how you want it to go, also just a fact of life. You have to separate yourself from your performance. Even though you demand yourself to always be optimally performing the best and know what to say in every situation, like just release that, and then focus on the impact. Okay, we don't have to impress people. When we're focused on that impression and what they are going to give back to us, that's selfish. Okay, I used to give talks on diet, and the reason I used to give talks all the time, but particularly when I go to another gym where they didn't know me, and I would give a talk on diet, a diet seminar, I would be freaking out before. And I would usually have to go outside, and I would like curl up in a ball and like breathe my way through it. And none of that helped. None of that would help because all I was focused on is what, like, me doing good for them. Like, what are they going to think, right? And then some of you guys know that, like, once you get, like, past those first few sentences, then the words just flow out and, like, all the fear drops, like, once you actually start. But it's like that first paragraph of introduction of who you are, your voice is kind of cracking. At least for me, that's how it went. It's because I was so concerned about what they think about me. But then once you get into the flow, then I'm in the flow of what I'm there to do, which is to serve them. And there's no fear there. And so if we can just learn to take, and I always wonder, like, what's the magical component? How come I can't take that aspect of me and move it to the start? And it's because of the concern of what they think about you. And we want to just bring the aspect to you're there to serve. And if we can remind ourselves of that, then that will actually come through, and you won't have those cracks in your voice. You won't have the uncertainty, and they were going to actually be more likely to respond positive to you because you are there presenting yourself as an agent of service to them, and they will appreciate that. And if they don't want what you have, it just means they don't want what you have right now, and you have planted a seed successfully. And also, what's really good is, you know, this may or may not be for you. We all know that line, but also this may or may not be for you. However, you are influential, you know a lot of people. It could be for somebody that you know. And this is the reason why I'm reaching out to you. Right? And so now it's like they almost can't, like, they can't argue that in their mind because you're just showing up saying, like, I'm reaching out to you because you know people And this might be good for you, it might not, probably good for someone you know. And so I feel that it's good for me to share it to you rather than keep it to myself, right? It's just come across as making impact, and that's what your purpose is. And you won't be so concerned whether they don't like it or they say no, all right? Remember your mission. Okay, another, so we got performance fear, projection fear. So a lot of us have family members, friends that, especially about network marketing, are telling you, stop it, that's a scam, blah, 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 blah. Guess what? When I owned CrossFit gyms, I got into CrossFit, it was the same thing. And you guys might have your own opinions about CrossFit. A lot of the world hated the business of that I was running. And I still had to do my best and provide service to people and literally change people's lives, not necessarily caring or even listening to the projected fear on you. So projection fear is the next one. And a lot of us have these fears from our mom and our dad and our teachers and social media that are training us to be fearful about certain things, okay? A lot is going on right now, and that's all being projected on you. Projection is like psychology 101. Okay, you learn what projection is in Psychology 101. It's when somebody takes their state of being and they project it on others and they view others through that lens, which may not be true from their perspective, but it also, as a result of that, you want others to match your projections onto them. So if I'm afraid of something, I want you to be afraid of that, because then that's more secures my alignment to that fear. And so we want to make sure that we do the work. This is what those things are called, like do the work means. And I'll give you guys a little exercise on how to do the work on this. So if you feel like you have generational fears, right? Poverty mindset, things about money where you think that people that have money are bad. These are all fears, you guys. I know many wealthy people that give away more money than I make in a year in like a week. Okay, it's like, it just seems to be the thing that they all do. Like having money creates like abundance from all. And so it's important to get over this so that you don't carry these fears with you into the next business meeting, into your downline, into your kids. All right, so an exercise to do this, just take a piece of paper, write down 3 columns. The first column, I guess this is your guys' left, right? I'm not sure how my camera's working. The first column, we put at the top, you write down the fear. Okay, so it's just fear. And it's columns because there's many of them, okay? Middle column, who gave you that fear? Was it your mom? Was it your dad? Was it an experience that you had? And that's what we're gonna talk about next. But was it an experience somebody else had that gave it to you? That's really where it comes in. And then the third column is why you have to do the work on it, why you have to dig this up, why you have to break the cycle, okay? What if you don't? What if you continue having this fear? What happens to your kids? What happens to your partner? You know, what limits are you putting on your life and the lives of others? All right, and that's just simple awareness drill of projected fears. You know when it happened and why it's important to dig up. So next fear is past fear. And this is a fear that I think most of us are familiar with. And we can do that same exercise for this, right? When did it happen? What caused this fear? Why is it important to get through it? Our past experiences, you know, if we let them be fearful, they keep us from creating new experiences in the future that would then rewrite the past experience, building confidence. And almost all of our fears are going to come from these 3 things. Something that happened to you in the past, something that somebody projected onto you that's not even your fear, or your attachment to your performance in any given moment. And understanding that allows you to dig them up and work through them. All right, and regarding past fear, it's good. We can use these things, right? We can use these things once we know it. and there's this thing called redemption. Okay, we can use the fact that like we recognize that we've been limiting ourselves through fear, and we can fall in love with the story of redemption. Okay, and we can love patting ourselves on the back because we worked our way out of this. This assignment that I'm going to be displaying to you guys at the end of this Zoom, it brought up some things in me, and I had to go, and it's been something I've been aware of. I'm going to share my story right now. It's in regards to the assignment, but I have this massive, massive fear of approaching people and talking to them, like me initiating conversation. And almost my entire life, I've been working in service. I went to school for psychology. So almost everything I have to say to somebody is to support them. However, I have this massive, massive fear to start that conversation, even though I'm always coming from a place of support and service. And I've designed my entire life so that I don't have to approach people. My entire life is, I made myself smart, right? I made myself interesting. Probably the way I dress might be a result of that. The way I look, I have no idea that how athletic I am. Being first place, a lot of people come and talk to you. And so my entire life is designed so I don't have to talk to anybody. And things that reinforce my fears constantly come up in my life. I get bad press about me when I own the gym, so now I like don't. And it's just like this fear just keeps on like building. And I used to think it was because I got bullied in school, like as an elementary school, and that just never really, it never resonated with me the reason why. And then I'm like certain of where it comes from now. I was it was tie-dye day in like 4th grade or 5th grade or something, and I made my mom a shirt, and my shirt I made tie-dye, like bright colors, and geez, this is actually quite emotional. And my mom's shirt I made like, she always wore jeans, so I made like blue and gray. Because in my mind, I thought that would like match her outfits. And she wanted a tie-dye shirt. So I come home all happy, like presenting to her the shirt I just made her. And she was like a young mother, 30 years old. So this is nothing against her. But she just absolutely probably had a bad day. Now that I understand women more, I understand that like sometimes this stuff just happens. But like, I'm like super happy little kid presenting something that I thought she would love. And she just like tore into me like crazy about how I did such a bad job. And like, why the heck isn't, I don't know if she swore, but this is how I remember it. Why the heck isn't it bright colors? And why would, like, how stupid are you? Of course, these aren't her words. This is how I remember it. Like, what the heck are you doing? And that moment of like, presenting something to somebody and then just being like absolutely crushed, like I think that's the seed, okay? And so I'm saying all this because, well, I know that's the seed. That's the seed that I've been afraid of approaching people. And in network marketing, this has affected me. Guys, I've never approached a single person in network marketing, a single person. So that's also, I've learned to talk about stuff on Instagram and then people funnel into the direct messages. That's how I've been doing this whole thing. And so there is a lot of growth that I had to go through this last week and getting over this fear. And that's just an example of finding a seed, okay? I went back to elementary school and I found, and I thought about a lot of things, and it's important for me to get over this. And I'm literally changed as a result of this week and going through the exercise I'll give you guys. Okay. Things that feed fear. I'll move on. Insecurity and inconsistency. So this goes back to certainty, right? So fear is going to take advantage of that uncertainty. So you're never going to win a war by running from your battles. If you guys know you have fears and you let them disrupt you, then it's just going to build. Okay, we do have to do the work. Inconsistency. Inconsistency is the reason why when you guys get on an onboarding call and we talk about posting on Widen Your Reach. Widen Your Reach is so good because it means that you're consistent and your audience sees that you're being consistent. And when they see that someone's being consistent for 6 months, 2 years, 1 year, they start to trust you and you start to trust you. So then they become your customers, they become your brand partners. That needs to be happening in every aspect of your life. Keep the promises that you make to yourself, okay? When you tell yourself you're gonna do something, keep that promise. Become consistent at keeping the promises that you make to yourself. Show up for yourself, okay? Now back to Widen Your Reach. Guys, can you imagine starting a t-shirt company and being, inconsistent with posting about it on social media? That's like the #1 rule of business that I learned before network marketing. Tell people you're in business, okay? And of course, the reason why I know that and got told that is because I didn't tell people I was in business. I just learned to kind of cheat that rule. And it's possible, but there's a promise that you make to the world by being consistent. And it's a promise that you make to yourself. So both the world and yourself will start trusting yourself. So we need to do the work to make ourselves secure, and we have to do the work to stay consistent, and fear won't grow. So there's some tools that we can use to embrace fear, which I've done many times in my life. So 3 tools to embrace fear. #1, create an alter ego. #2, use leverage, which we talked a little bit about. And #3, aligning with your legacy. Okay, creating an alter ego. There's many movies on this where someone has like a split personality, and like Me, Myself, and Irene, for example, the guy's like a super pushover, and then all of a sudden split personality comes in play, and it's split personality disorder in psychology is what I learned. But there's ways to use this normal aspect, because everything's on a spectrum, right? The disorder part comes when you can't control it, but you can develop a character that you are, and you can even name that person, that avatar of a person, and have that person do things that your normal self, is fearful of. And eventually these two, as you become consistent, as you become practiced and repetitive, these two, you take the good aspects of both and they merge together. So this is how you create an alter ego. #1, you ask yourself these 3 questions, or they're not all questions, but what does this person possess? So what skills, so then the second thing is, what skills do you need this person to have to serve you, to serve your greatest version of yourself? Number 2 is, how are they going to help you embrace the fear? All right. So what is their purpose? Like, how are they going to do it's #1, and then like, why, how are they going to help you? Are they going to speak louder? Because when you put on your He-Man mask, whatever the name is, like maybe they have a certain tone of voice. Okay, so you need to know the aspects of how they work, right? So name this person and be certain on what situations in your life you need this alter ego person to show up to, so that you just know. Like imagine like door-to-door salesman. Like I've been in the car with people like this, and they talking like regular you, but when it's time to open up that door and walk to the front door and knock on it, they zone in and become somebody else. And for a lot of people, that's not actually them. So like the people that would create this character were the ones that did the best. This is all, okay, so #2, the power of leverage. So the most important thing here is to know that there's 2 fears really that you got. You want to actually build up a secondary fear that we don't think a lot about. It's the fear of staying the same. Okay, so there's the fear of change, which is like that. That's real and tangible because our body likes homeostasis. But we really need to think about like build the fear of staying the same more than the fear of change. When you can actually, and you can use fear as leverage that way. You can leverage, you can run away from that and towards what you thought you feared, but is actually you fear less than staying the same. And you can even remind yourself, right? We all know what vision boards look like. What about like being truly honest about where you are now? And yes, you're comfortable with everything. It's a human aspect to be comfortable with what is, but start to look around. Do you want it that way the rest of your life? Because if not, you know, you know where to go. It's that cave that you fear most. So make the cave that you're in now the cave you want to leave. Right? So another way to think about, here's some other tools to think about that to help you out. So 10 years from now, if you don't do this change, like 10 years from now, looking back, are you going to have that thought in your head? I wish I would have fill in the blank, right? I wish I would have what? Like put yourself 10 years from now. I always think of myself when I'm 80. Like these are when people are dying, they always have these regrets in your life. Like be the person who did it. All right. Third way to use fear, legacy. Okay. Now, we all know people that were super courageous and pushed past their fears. Because you have fear, that gives you an opportunity. It gives you an opportunity to build a legacy, right? Imagine every stranger that shows up to you in this world and how they feel when they leave your presence. What are they thinking? Are they thinking like, there's that example, and then there's like at your funeral. How are you remembered at your funeral? What are your friends saying about you? Are they saying this is a person that let fear control them? You know, they lived an average life. They didn't push the boundaries. They pushed their fears onto their kids. Or are you someone that drove through the fear, right? And our glories don't have to mean that everybody knows about it, but we want to use these little mind games. You're creating a legacy. How are you influencing people? If you guys, like when somebody looks at you, are they being influenced to push past their fears? Or are you the comforting one that allows them to continue being, dominated by this life? So 3 things with legacy. How are you going to be remembered, right? So you use fear that allows you to be remembered as great. How are you influencing people? Are you influencing people to push past their fears, to challenge their fears, to be greater, to create legacies for themselves and their families? And number 3, imagine your life if it was duplicated and given to somebody that you care about or love. Like, would you be proud to give over what you're accomplishing in your life? And these are all just mental mind games. And the question is, if you're not proud of what you're giving to this person, what would you change? And then, why not now? So the big takeaway here is that fear isn't something that should be avoided. It's present for all of us. Whatever life experience we have fears. We all have the thing we're most afraid of. We have the thing that destroyed our confidence in the past. We all have that thing, whether it was somebody pushing you over on the schoolyard or like somebody abusing you. Whatever part of the spectrum it is, we still all have the worst thing that's happened to us that we might be afraid of. And we want to use fear as a compass to guide us to the greatest version of ourself, okay? Because all of our limits are self-limits, and those self-limits are put upon ourselves by ourselves because we have fear, okay? And so when you know that you're afraid of something, that's the compass of, guess what, which direction you're going to grow into. So that's one way to have a positive relationship with fear. Fear is your compass. It is the direction that you're going. This is where your evolution is happening. Allow it to make you stronger, confident, certain, right? That's the only way. Is like Tony Robbins, when he has a fear, he blasts through it. He just crushes it. He faces it to the 100th degree, okay? And fear is also mistaken as a barrier. So there's a saying, what is it? Success, something about like failure is not the opposite of success. Here it is. Failure is not the opposite of success. Shit, I don't have the exact word, but it's basically failure is not the opposite of success. It's necessary for success, something like that, okay? Like you have to fail to be successful. Like you have to get to those lessons. It's the same thing with fear. So it's not something to be like avoided. These are like where you know the bridges to your success are. It's necessary for you to go through and experiences your fear to get to success. Okay, so with all of that said, everyone, there's a lot of things we can talk about fear. I just wanted to go over that. Can you guys in the chat, I haven't been looking at the chat. Can you guys in the chat, when you think about your network marketing organization, oh gosh, I hope my mom's not on this call. I didn't check. Can you write down things that you're afraid of within network marketing? I started, right? I'm literally afraid of approaching people. I was afraid of approaching people. Like deathly afraid of approaching people. So I just talked a whole bunch about being aware. Do you guys have an awareness of, okay, if you're like, I'm not afraid of shit, what are you procrastinating on? Okay, what are you procrastinating on? Do you tell yourself you don't need to do? These are the things that we're fearing. So I got fear of rejection, bothering somebody, fear of being organized, fear of not having what it takes, bothering them, being successful, not meeting my own expectations. If you guys have 0 people in your funnel, there's probably a fear of approaching somebody. Okay? A fear of presenting, a fear of what the person's going to take, performance fear, prospecting in person, being annoying and not taking it serious, not being taken seriously. So this is the assignment, guys. I mentioned Tony Robbins. His strategy is to beat the fear to death. Okay? Is there anybody that's afraid of widening your reach? Is there a fear of social media? Is there, like, these are all the things that we're doing. If you don't have a fear of social media, is the fear of approaching somebody on social media, going live? You guys are all completely comfortable talking to the camera, that little black dot? So, Angela, is that a riddle? Do you want to tell us the answer?
I'm not afraid of the social media. I'm just like I like it.
No, I know. Okay. No, I was asking what the opposite of fear was.
Words of wisdom.
So we didn't really hear you. Okay. Oh, guys, fear of higher status. If you guys didn't write something down right here, we have to know. Okay. If you feel like, oh, I can approach people, but if you're still, not a crown, not a royal crown, not a diamond, not a whatever's next, then there's probably a fear of approaching the high class people. So we have to know what our fear is, and then over the next 7 days, beat it to death. Okay. And by beat it to death, it means times 100, which broken down by 7 is going to equal somewhere around like 15-ish per day. Yeah, 15-ish per day. And what that means, so for instance, my $9,000 assignment was to approach 100 people in 7 days with a video message asking them for an appointment for more information and reaching out to people that were at my status or higher. I reached out to, and okay, so I want to tell you guys my journey. It took me 2 days to do one person, and then another 2 days to do, no, it took me 3 days to do one person, another 2 days to do the second person. They were both, one was a gym owner, one was a influencer. And then in the last 48 hours, like of the thing, I did like 70. So I started increasing, but there's a point where you get over your fear and you dissolve it, and you are more concerned with finishing the 100 than you are about being afraid of the next person that you're approaching. So if you guys are afraid of approaching people or afraid of approaching the chicken list, so there's a chicken list that I have and that I made. And the chicken list is the people that you're too afraid to contact because they're too successful, too influential, and you feel like what you have to say isn't going to be something they're interested in. So remember at the beginning when I said that this is an assignment that I finished and Seema finished because there was a lot on the line, and I don't know what to replace that with you guys except for to pair you up into groups and have a buddy, okay? And so I'm going to pair everybody up into twos right now, and you're going to tell your buddy what your fear is. And if you guys right now, if you're having trouble thinking about what you're afraid of, like unmute yourself, and if it's going live, if it's going on, and we have to think of an assignment. Okay, so for instance, Ina said going live. Her assignment would be to do 100 lives on her social media accounts for the next 7 days. And it doesn't all have to be about social media. It means go on live about Facebook, go on live on TikTok, go on live on Instagram about what you're doing during your day. And we can even set a time limit on that, more than 3 minutes. So Ina would have to then go live 15 times a day. Do you guys see that that could be a daunting subject for somebody who says, I'm afraid of going live, and that at the end of this, she won't be afraid of going live, right? We can all see that potential, but when you're the one that has to go through the thing that you're afraid of, does everybody have something? If you're not afraid of going live, doing 100 lives in 7 days is nothing. Like some of us do that every single day. I'm not talking about Instagram stories. I'm talking about lives, okay? So Can I get like 4? I'm just gonna pick, because Angelo, I feel like you don't really have a fear. What are you going to pick on this?
It's not so much a fear, it's just a lack of organization, I think, is, or like an onboarding thing. Like when I reached out to you yesterday
Okay,
about like,
this is
I
what I
want to come
want to
out.
do. This is actually SEMA's fear, the same fear, Angelo. What if you set up 100 appointments with either prospects or current brand partners, 100 appointments in a calendar? You don't have to do them all in the next week, but set up 100 appointments is your goal in the next 7 days. That's going to cause you to be organized. Do you understand that? You have a fear of this being organized. You have a fear, like, so all of your brand partners, they are all potential people to set up appointments. People you're prospecting, set up appointments. Make them all a half hour long and get to work doing this. You have to do at least 15 a day. If you skip a day, then you're like me. The last 2 days, you have to do like 70. To like, so that's Angela's assignment. JL.
Yeah, I have to say that mine is similar to that. It's the fear of not being well enough organized with time and tools, and knowing them well enough to not only not let myself down, but let other people down as well. Um, yeah, that's a big one for me. And I mean, I know what I have to do. I've been working on it daily, but yeah, I would love a challenge for that, to like work through that.
Knowing what to do.
No, just basically how to, I guess, how to better schedule myself, and to I get distracted easily. I mean, I have ADHD. I get like, I see something and I bounce around way too much. I think that's my main problem, is I'm not, it's not that I don't follow through. It's just that by the time I see something, I address that. And then by the time I go back to the thing, I'm like, oh my God, now I have an hour to do this. And it's like a million things. So I do that. I put unnecessary
Right.
stress on myself with that.
Well, are you afraid of that? Is there something that you're afraid of? It doesn't sound like you are afraid of it. It just sounds like you're.
I, well, yeah, because it's keeping me. I have a fear of being in this of being in the same place for too long. Like the fact that I've been an executive this long is really, it's torture to me. I mean, I know why I'm here, and I appreciate all the lessons of looking at why I'm still here. But it's a, yeah, it's a thing. I know if I can't get it together, it's gonna take longer than I want. And I want to be able to come up with a system to where I can implement it daily and actually see some progress happening.
Okay, so guys, I was on a call with Leslie Zan, and the question was asked, what action can I do to inspire my team to, produce more? And the answer to that question was, or what can I say to inspire my team to do more? And the answer to that question was, you don't say anything. The answer to that question is, what do you do? Like you act to act. There needs to be an action for you to inspire action within your team. So if JL looks into her team and sees that there's, she's got an executive organization, what actions do you see, JL, that need to be done that you're not doing, either because of fear or you're not organized? Like, what actions need to be taken in your team? Most definitely, for most of us, it's going to be approaching people or making exposures publicly. All right. So that's the action. And through this exercise, you can learn to organize your schedule. You have to complete the action of reaching out to a certain amount of people, or I don't think, or Angelo's task is actually more difficult than that, setting up an appointment. That means he needs to reach out to more people to get an appointment. Okay, it's actually much more difficult. I'm suggesting for you, you should be focused on the action that you need in your thing. So most everyone, guys, is there anybody who's confused on this?
Sorry, Raw. I still don't have a fear. I have many fears. I feel like I might have a couple fears. Is it just like one fear that I should stick to, like the highest level fear that I have, kind of?
You have
And
an
I just want to bring that up. Like, it's a weird one, I think. Maybe not weird. I generally, like, was thinking, I generally have a fear of
happy,
being
happy,
left out.
happy. Have you reached out to all the bosses that you ever had in your life about this?
Sorry?
Have you reached out to all of the bosses that you ever had in your life about this?
Of what?
About network marketing?
Generally, yeah.
Where are they at?
Like, where are they at with joining in network marketing, or like a lot of them kind of like,
All right, Happy, your assignment is to enroll 10 people in the next week. I don't care. I know you don't have a problem reaching out to people. You have a fear or a failure of closing. So close 10 people in the next week. Do whatever it takes to get there. Does that sound good? Does that sound pushing past your limits?
like I feel like I never had a fear with closing. It's more of a like a challenge.
Okay, then guess what you get to do? Make it work and commit to it, right? Commit to this. The challenge that you have, you're letting overtake you. You're letting yourself be comfortable not being able to do this. And it needs to be like life or death, dude. Like life or death. And that's where the fear comes into this. I'm telling you, I'm assigning to you the commitment that this time on Monday, you're gonna come with 10 names of people who enrolled as a brand partner in your organization. Are you afraid of that? Yes, because I can hear that you don't want to do this. So you asked for a fear, I gave it to you. Do you guys all understand this? Does anybody else not know what they're doing? And Happy, that was something, I'm not making this up. That was one of the things that were assigned to people that had the same circumstance as you. If you think you're afraid of something, then commit to a success. Because you're just letting it be okay not enrolling people. It needs to be life or death.
Would you say
I'll take
fear? Oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
Would you say fear is the same as a weakness? Or how would you differentiate the two? Because you know how they say don't, you know what I mean? Like double down on what you're good at? Or how would you know what's your fear and what's your weakness?
What are you thinking is your fear?
Well, I was just thinking like prospecting in person. I feel like I'm weak in that and not, actually I am kind of afraid.
Okay, so then you go out and you have 100 conversations with real people in life.
I just feel like I'm better at prospecting like through Instagram, you know, than in person. Like I feel like that's my weakness, and it's better if I double down on what I'm good at doing it on Instagram. Right?
Is there a possibility for you to prospect in person? Like, are there places you can go to meet people?
Yep.
Right. So 100 people, that's 15 people a day. That's 5 times more than what's reasonable. 2 to 3 a day would be reasonable, but we're talking 15 a day. So guys, we will change throughout this, and we will not want to do it. And my store, I definitely did not want to do this, you guys, definitely. And I'm telling you guys that I completely changed my life. I discovered why I'm afraid of what I'm afraid of, and I did what it took, and I am blown away at the results of what happened. And you guys all have this opportunity. So I'm gonna put you guys in breakout rooms. I want you to tell your buddy what your assignment is. I want you to give them your phone number. And buddies, if something they said doesn't sound right, we're gonna come back in and we're gonna hear any questions that you guys have. So you have an accountability partner. You don't get to choose the person. If the person is not on a video or can't talk to you when you go into this group, come back out of the group, and we'll be here and we can assign people into new breakout rooms. Guys, this is something that pushes us, all right? You just heard me tell Happy that thing. It doesn't, it's not easy, okay? So tell the person, exchange phone numbers, and that's about it. Chopper, was nobody in your room? Tupo, was nobody in your room?
No, Aster was there, but he wasn't. His camera was off, and I didn't hear anything.
Is Danielle in here? And Chopper, are you guys responsive? All right, I see.
Make a group of 3.
Yo, you're muted.
What's up, bro? I didn't get anybody.
All right, you and Tupo.
Tupo?
Yeah,
All right, cool.
can you guys do your thing right now?
Yeah.
All right, never mind. We're gonna move on. Christine and Christoph, who are you guys?
I didn't have a partner.
I didn't have one either.
There wasn't one with me either.
All right. So, Tupo, what's your fear?
My fear would be approaching people.
Okay, good. So 100 approaches.
Okay.
And then,
I'm taking the same one, Raw.
all right,
Same
you
thing.
guys, right? So what are your guys' phone numbers?
I'm
Mine-
3-2. Go ahead, Tupo.
It's 801-856-1170.
All right, I got you on Instagram too. I'll hit you up.
All right.
You're gonna share your number on Instagram?
Oh, no, I'm sorry. Here, my number's 321-278-4033.
Christine, what's your fear?
Trying to figure that out. I really am just like I procrastinate. I'm lazy, so I don't know how I could how that's like a fear thing. I think it might be. I'm just still trying to figure it out.
Do you want Happy's assignment or do you want 100 approaches?
Happy's was to close, right?
Enroll 10 people in the next 7 days.
Yeah, I could take that one.
Christoph, write that down. That's Christine's fear. She's your partner.
Okay. Christine, could I have your phone number?
Yeah, it's 626-975-9624. That's actually, I think that is my fear. So yay.
My fear is what people think of me.
Okay, so are you not approaching people because of this?
Yes, I'm not reaching out to people because of this.
Great. So that's what you're going to do. And give Christine your phone number right now.
407-486-6495.
Okay. So I'm closing all the rooms.
Hey, Raw.
Yeah.
With those 100 approaches, are we gonna approach them with a video camera if it's over Instagram, like a video message, or just any type of approach?
I mean, if it's easy for you just to send a message, I would definitely make a video message. And video messages work. I did that to 100 people, and I literally think 50% of the people responded to me. So, guys, all right. Make it public is another question that we can do. So posting a video or letting the rest of the group know in HJL business what your assignment is going to make it more real, more pressure, okay? And it's also going to give you a little bit more encouragement from people, and you can ask questions. You guys can all check in on each other, but your accountability partner should check in on you a few times this week, okay? Use your accountability partner. Make it public. Also, another thing that we did is document the process. Why? Because it's likely that people in your organization have the same fear, or even in the same company. And you guys might fall in love with the documenting process more than the fear. And when you document the process and you look at the camera and say, this is what I'm doing for the next 7 days, yada, 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 you're doing what? You're telling yourself and the camera that you're going to do something. And so I set up a second camera for every single thing I approach, and it videotapes it. And I can make a documentary of it, and I can put it on Instagram. And this can be my legacy of coming over the greatest fear in this field that I had. And that can inspire people on social media, it can inspire people in the organization, it can inspire people in Purium and all of network marketing, guys. Document this, make a documentary on this. This is not something easy. This is you digging into that shadow part of you that you never wanted to experience. You've designed your life to not do this. You've run the story in Purium. This fear has designed your story in Purium, and it's time to change that. And so documenting this is going to be very inspiring for you to look at and inspiring for you to want to finish. I had that. I had to finish before today, guys. I started last Monday. I had to finish before I got on and told you guys that I did this. Imagine I get on here and I'm like, yeah, I have 15 people to go. Like, no, I wouldn't let myself fail today. So you guys, when you tell the group, you make it public, told your accountability partner already, you're going to tell your story, document it as well. And it could be the greatest story that you ever tell, you ever make. It could be your legacy. Who's not 100%? Cody?
Yeah, you know it.
Yeah.
I kind of came up with like not fear of coaching myself and not showing up. But I'm not 100% sure. Me and Jasmine talked about it. Not 100% sure what that looks like.
Well, pick, dude. You got to pick. Like when I told Happy to enroll 10 people, did when you heard that, were you just like, oh yeah, I can do that? Or was there like, fuck, I wouldn't want to do that?
Actually, the first thing I said, I wouldn't want to tell Ra I didn't know what my fear was. That was the first thing.
Yeah. So, I mean, Cody, I know that you're not afraid of approaching people, but like the commitment to make this work is something that a lot of people are afraid of. Guys, okay, imagine this. Imagine I had $1 million and I said, if you enroll 10 people, you get this $1 million. Would any of you have a problem enrolling 10 people this week? If not, 10 million. $10 million to enroll 10 people this week. If the answer, like, if you would do it for $1 million, and I'm telling you, if you enroll 10 people this week, it might be worth $1 million to you. It most likely will. Then, like, it's the fear of commitment to something. Like, a lot of us are just comfortable being at where we are. And so, Cody, Like, I know you don't have problems approaching people, and I know that you are enrolling people. It's the pace. It's the pace. You're distracted by so many things. You're afraid of committing to Purium. And a lot of us are. And that's why we don't have success and we don't move at the speed necessary. Enrolling one person a month, 2 people a month, 1 person every 3 months, guys, that's not the speed of network marketing. It's impossible to grow like that. So, Cody, are you afraid of enrolling 10 people in this next week?
No, I don't think so. I'm afraid of not. Would be more afraid of not. What's that?
What about 20?
I'm afraid of not achieving it, not afraid of doing it.
All right, we're gonna move on.
Okay.
I think for you, Cody, it's enrolling 10 people this week. I know you don't commit to this, and it's because you don't want to, maybe you're afraid of whether you're going to achieve it or not. And so what does that mean? That means more than 1 person a day. And that means you need to do what it takes. That means you need to seek out counselors and find out the script. Guys, last week we covered the script. If you don't know, ask someone for the recording if you didn't watch that. Last week we covered the script. It's the magical script, super magical.
I have a question. So the gentleman that I spoke with, his name was Mark, and he's under Kim's iPhone right now, and he was having internet connections, but his fear was money. So we came up with an assignment of him, closing sales and upgrading to brand partners. But what would be a suggestion? Because that was the first thing that came to mind.
Mark Min.
I think so. He's under Kim's iPhone.
Guys, there seems to be some awareness issues here. I want to let you guys know that Seema has been reaching out to 100 people every week, probably since she started. Okay, maybe 50. Since she started 2 years ago. All right, and I've watched her. If you guys have not been doing this, then we're just going to use that as the default fear. Okay, and I don't mean sending text replacements. I mean like actually bonding with the person, making yourself vulnerable, looking in the camera, telling them that you feel that you're excited about their existence, about what they're doing, and you're super excited because it's people like them that do very well in this business that you're creating or that you're a part of. You've got an organization, you've got an awesome team. And this may or may not be for them, but it could be for somebody that they know, and that you'd love to, offer them the opportunity to learn more if they sit down with you for a 20-minute Zoom, or if they want to look at something passively, we have a Zoom that my partners and friends are doing at Wednesday at 6 p.m. Pacific time. And so I love what you're doing. I love how you're showing up. I love that thing you did last week. It really inspires me. And let me know if this interests you. Like, are you guys, that was essentially the script that I sent, that I did, that I was afraid of. And if you guys aren't doing this 100 times, then just default to that, okay? If that isn't an issue for you, like people like Natalie, that's not an issue for her. She's an enrolling machine. So she's making it more difficult on herself and saying, I need to do it in person. I need to go out into the world, people with face masks on, and try forming a conversation and prospecting them in person. This isn't about being easy. So find something that makes you fearful.
I'm sorry, can you say that one more time? Like just what you had just said of like what you did of this, like the script.
Did you watch last week's Zoom?
I didn't.
Okay.
Are you talking about the last Monday? Like exactly what a Monday? No, I didn't.
Okay, we have that.
Okay.
There's,
Yeah, I need it too, please. If it's on the Facebook,
we'll put it
if
on
it's in
Slack.
there.
We'll put it on Slack.
Awesome, thank you.
Came up.
It's already on the HAL business. All the recordings go there. Guys, if your business is not growing, it's because you're not taking enough actions. That's really what it comes to. If you're doing the same thing over and over and expecting something differently, then you're crazy. We heard that many, many times before. And I took maybe 3 days or 4 days to think of my fear. And the time is clicking. Just like when somebody signs up and they have 10 days for consultant, if they take 5 days to get into action, now they only have 5 days to get to consultant. The time, fear feeds off time. Okay, so the longer that you take to discover your fear, the less time you're gonna have. So I really only had 2 days to complete my challenge. Okay, 2 days. And I was like Angela, I was like, I don't have any fears. Like, I can't think of anything. And I'm thinking and procrastinating. My fears are feeding out of the time that is being wasted. And then I was like, you know what? I'm afraid of having commitment to hundreds of phone calls in my calendar because I like to go out. I like to go out for a walk. I like to cook. I like to clean the house. I like to go on Instagram and just do my thing. And I just was afraid of having massive amounts of phone calls in my calendar. So I had 2 days to complete the fear. And there's a worksheet that I use that really, really helps me. And I shared it with Melissa earlier this morning. It's on the units. It's in module number 1. This is the unit that every single brand partner should be doing. And this is the worksheet that every single brand partner should be filling up. So I went back to the foundations and went back to module 1. I downloaded the sheets that all the new brand partners have. In step number 9, I printed them out and I had 24 hours to fill up 100 people that I had to talk to with their usernames. And I added 36 of these people in my calendar because they are interested in joining in the business. So use this worksheet. It took me 2 days to fill up 100 people in all these worksheets. These worksheets are on the units. And try to fill up at least one a day. At least one of these sheets should be filled up a day and you're gonna stay in track. I did 2 a day. Well, actually I did more like 4 a day because I only had 2 days to fill them up. And I got 36 people joining. And I signed up new brand partners and I put a lot of sales based on me reaching out super freaking bold. I didn't even know most of these people. I just follow them on Instagram from a while and I like their content. So treat it as a numbers game. Don't treat it like, oh my gosh, these people say no, these people say yes, these people say no, all of these people ignore me. Who the fuck cares? Just fill up the worksheet. Fill up the worksheet, 100 names. If all of these people say no, it doesn't matter. It's not about who says yes and who says no. It's about you taking the action and committing through your integrity to complete something. So treat it as a matter of names. You need to fill up all these worksheets with 100 names. It doesn't matter who rejects you, who likes your voice, who likes your face. It doesn't matter. Treat it as a numbers game. 100 people on the worksheet in 7 days. And you're gonna have an incredible breakthrough. Like Ra and myself did, you're actually gonna find your ratio of rejection and of success. I reached out to 100 people. I already have 36 Zoom calls set up with prospects that wanna join the business. And a lot of them haven't even opened my video message because I can see. So the ratio might actually be higher. It might be 1 every 5 that are interested. But you need to find out what your ratio is. And the only way is to do massive action. Don't be attached to the outcome. Just fill up the worksheet with 100 names. If you want to be successful, just start writing the names. It doesn't matter what their answer is, what their thoughts are. If you said, because one of my other field was saying the wrong thing. I was like, am I saying the right thing? Why did they just ignore me? Did I just say the wrong thing? Doesn't matter. You're going to learn to say the right thing if you do it at least 100 times. So do it 100 times and you're going to learn. Your learning is going to be in the doing and you're going to find out, oh, 20 people just ignore me back to back to back. Maybe I should change my script. Maybe I should say something. One of the girls blew up on me today. She literally like cursed me out. She told me she's been a vegan for 27 years, that people that eat meat are poison, are like are terrorists pretty much. People that eat animals should freaking die. And she like went off on me. Like, if you think Julie is an activist, this girl is like times 1,000. And she actually discouraged me a lot. She told me I didn't know what I was saying about glyphosate, that I was in a pyramid scheme. She told me so many things. She said, I worked with Monsanto and Bayer, 20 years ago. I was literally tearing up, and I had one more sheet left. And Raw was coming back because he drove to the city today. And I was like, I don't want to fill up the last worksheet. Fuck this, like I'm gonna count all the people that I onboarded this week to fill up this worksheet, because I needed to have 100. And then I'm like, no, I'm going to complete this assignment because no one's going to take my joy. I'm not going to give this woman the power to make me feel shitty and unempowered for something that I believe on that is way greater than her ignorance. And I kept moving. So you're going to face that too. There's going to be people that are going to discourage you and they're going to make you cry. And they're going to tell you you're doing, crap, and that you're just a spammer, whatever it is. Tell them, goodbye, Felicia. I'll see you later. I'll message you again in a week or so. I'll send you another video, but you keep on filling up your list. Yeah, create haters. If you don't have haters, you're not doing something right. And this is what the principal of my architecture school told me. If you're not creating haters, you're not being loud enough. If you're not creating haters, you're not putting yourself out there enough for them to criticize you, because people that see other people rise criticize. Does that make sense? Just wanted to share that because I was really super unempowered 2 hours ago, and I'm a crown. Back to Raw.
Yeah, I don't want to keep you guys all night. I think we're clear here. And this just comes down to your legacy, right? What you guys want out of yourself. Are you willing to do this? We just want to emphasize that it was very uncomfortable for us, super uncomfortable for us. I thought of every reason why I didn't need to do it. And the whole time it was like that. So I finished, even down to like literally the last 3. You're just like 97s, like basically the last 3 are like the people. So what I did, everyone, if you want to know, I went and I looked at everyone who I'm following. I didn't look at the people who are following me. I looked at everyone I'm following and selected from all the people I look up to and selected from them. I just copied their Instagram link, put it into a note. Copied their Instagram link, put it into a note. And I had about like 130 of those. And then I went through who's easiest for me to approach. And I would skip like 15 and okay, I can, so, and then every time I would go back to the top of the list, I would be a little bit more confident because of the last run through. And the people I skipped last time, I had more courage to reach out to them. And I would go down and I would get to the bottom of the list and I would go back up. The first time I went to the bottom of the list, I'm like, all right, I'm gonna go reach out to more people because I'm afraid of that list. But I stopped myself from doing it. I was like, no, because there's still 85 people on that list that I know that some of them are gonna enroll. Some of them are gonna potentially change their life. Some of them are going to thank me for doing this. And so if 80 of them say no and 5 of them are gonna say yes, it's worth it for me to do this. So then I just decided to keep on scrolling down the list, contacting people. Every time I go back up to the top, I would, like, I've been reaching out to professional athletes and stuff, guys, doing my best to get them on the phone. I'm so surprised at how positive they reacted to me. So anyways, eventually, like Seema said, the mission of finishing 100 becomes more important than the fear that you have. And then that fear is gone. And then you start being more excited and being animated when you're talking to them because you don't have fear. And you learn. And like I said, eventually, I wanted to quit even with 97. It's like, I don't need to do these last 3 because the last 3 are going to be the hardest ones, right? It's the people I've put off the most. It's the people that, all right. So I got through it. Anyways, everyone, Facebook for support. Okay, we can continue this on Facebook. Tell HDL Business what this is. Tell the world what this is. And next week we touch base again. Okay, it's the beginning of the year. Let's get this. Bye, everyone.
All right, thanks, guys.
Thank you.